Welcome to ExGarage, the show, episode numero uno. That is number 1. So we are doing this right from the get-go.
And that's Greek, right? That's
that
or Latin.
Uno. I thought Uno was zilch.
Zilch.
I realized that means
This is
zero.
the beginning of the show, guys.
This is zero. ExGarage.
Yep, ExGarage. So, in this show, we're going to be talking about lots of fun stuff that are theologically related. Anything from talking straight up theology, like just straight shot, no extra filler or anything like that. Then we're going to be talking biblical languages. And what else, Heath? We'll do some entertainment, some skits, some music.
Some Greek, you said that? Languages, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get into some languages. So be prepared. It's going to be a wild ride. So thank you for joining with us today, and cheers to you for being here.
Cheers. Cup says dream. Dream on.
Cool. So cut there and then
Dream on!
That's what I thought about. Now cut.
Oh my God. Yeah. So Heath, first off, I got a really important question for you.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
So
I won't look.
why didn't Noah go fishing?
Why didn't Noah go fishing? Because he was in the ark.
He only had 2 worms.
That's so ridiculous.
maybe there's something better to fish with. They don't exist anymore.
Wow, that was really good. That was definitely some of those land creatures.
Yeah. Anyway, so Heath, you're back from Scotland. How has your travels been? How is it getting back here?
Well, the boat ride was long.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, the boat ride, the canoe. Halfway I got off the boat and took the canoe the rest of the way. And, it was a real pilgrimage, if you would.
Okay.
No, I flew. It was, no, anyway, so since I've been back, I know what you mean. It's been good. It's, actually, Ethan asked me that, how are you doing, Heath? And I literally, people ask me that, and I don't know if you guys feel like this sometimes. Maybe it's just me because my head's just been in the books so much the last 2 years, maybe, but I don't know how to respond. I just sit there and I just like, people are like, how are things? How's it like being back to the States? And literally inside, I feel nothing. I'm like, I don't even know if this is healthy.
He's having an out of body experience.
I'm like, well, I'm happy to be home. That's for. Let me put it that way. I'm glad to be stateside. I love Spokane.
I'm imagining Heath
family.
going, I'm dead inside. Panning into my eyes, just right. I'm dead inside.
I don't know how to answer the question. I should say that's all I should say. It's like I don't know.
Well, that's because all you did in Scotland was read, and all you're doing back here is reading.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good way to put it. I just don't feel like anything has changed, other than the fact that I enjoy being home, being close to friends like you guys and family, and so many other things I love, and not to mention just being in the United States. But that'd be a whole other topic, but political stuff. But no, great. I think if someone likes to be on the Western move toward high-end liberal type secularism, then Scotland's the place to be.
There you go. Scotland's the place to be. I mean, Scotland is also known for its culinary excellence. So, I mean,
culinary.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate?
Like they're really well known for their food.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Haggis.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Fish and chips is amazing. The castle is amazing. The history is wonderful. It's just
Food is lacking.
It's just sad to see.
Yeah.
Not Sadducees, but it's sad to see a country that was birthed so much life out of the gospel to push the gospel into.
Obscurity.
It gets into a whole nother, philosophical and theological and political conversation, and how. But I just say it is it's sad to see so many churches that are now bars and whatnot, which is fine, right? That's not, the gospel's not a location in a building. We were just talking about that. But you see that shift in their culture and their way of life. And I think while I was over there, I saw that, and that was, and yet the lives that are lived there are only so because they're standing on the principles of the past, of the ethics of Christendom, and love God, love neighbor, this sense of purpose. These types of things are there because of that. Even the democratic spirit of to be able to appreciate another's beliefs without accepting it and having that engage in dialogue really comes from the principles of the church.
Yeah, you're finding more modern day atheists recognize, or secularists recognize that. I mean, if you look to pre-Christian man, the ethics of those individuals back then is so foreign to us as modern day individuals that it really wasn't until Christianity came about that we have what is recognizable as modern day ethics, which is loving your neighbor as yourself, having some kind of sense of, even when we vehemently disagree with each other as Christians to liberals, we're still often arguing along the same principles, which is, if we feel like somebody's being uncharitable in a moral sense, we'll point that out. Prior to Christianity, there wouldn't have been some kind of ground to have the argument in the first place. But that's not what our topic is today.
We should on that down that road.
Anyway, so today we're
just cut that whole piece.
We can keep it. Just just more content.
I will say this: I'm thankful that the university there had accepted me and my supervisor there. All that, just such a wonderful providence of God, and but I do pray for theology in secular divinities. The divinity departments in secularized education, I do pray that there just could be some more thoughtfulness on how those two engage, because what I see technically right now is that these divinity departments, and we've known this, but I kind of got to see it from the inside. Harvard, Princeton, and even in the States, all these major institutions, they are working in the divinities from an agnostic empirical starting point in how they do all their research and studies. And the divinity, by definition, as it's established in Christendom, you start from Scripture. Catholics start from Scripture, tradition, and the Pope. But you don't put everything into the skeptic mood of maybe, should be, could be, I don't know. Is Christ Lord? I don't know. That literally was a conversation I was having with a lot of people in the divinity program.
Which does tie into our topic very
That's
well. Right. When we're, as Protestants are, one of our staples obviously is sola scriptura. And so as we're looking at these questions, when you're engaging with more left-wing theologians who have a tendency to say things like, I don't know, when it comes to, is Christ Lord? Or things that should be just basic Christianity right there. I mean, that really boils down to, well, who gets to say so?
Right.
Right. And so if,
or even asking that back question, how do you know that you don't know?
Right.
Well, ultimately they have to say, well, Scripture's not clear. Well, is Scripture not clear enough that you can be clear that it's not clear?
Right.
Clearly. So really, it goes back to Romans 2, that we suppress the truth in our unrighteousness. Mm-hmm. And even as believers, we do that at times.
Mm. Yep.
That's all part of being sanctified. So by saying that, I'm not saying that everyone in the divinities aren't saved or anything, but what I am saying is, clearly when you're saying things like that, I'm not sure who Jesus is. Well, read the Bible. That's what the Christians do. That you read the Bible, and it's got a historical context. It's situated with meaning. Go understand the Greek and the Hebrew languages if you really need to. I mean, I had to purpose in my life to do that because those questions bugged me. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
All right.
Sorry. I love that.
Bring out the soapbox.
So, the first verse of the day. Let's just get into it, shall we? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So this is Proverbs 1, verse 7. And we'll get into more of these more verses related to this topic later. But this one's really important. It leaves it very clearly that if you want to have knowledge at all, the beginning of it is the fear of the Lord. You can't have one without the other. If you have some kind of surface level knowledge about something and it's detached, even 1 + 1 = 2, detached from the fear of the Lord isn't true knowledge. So humbly, our place as humans is to submit to what God has revealed to us. That is what we're talking about today, and that we're dependent on God revealing Himself to us.
Yeah, and that goes to the next verse, which is Deuteronomy 29:29. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So clearly, according to Deuteronomy 29:29, that God has revealed things to us. In other words, He spoke to us as creatures in His image, so that we may do them. And that's really the point of when we talk about systematic theology, and starting with our opening topic. Did we even preface why we're going through this, the knowledge of God first?
Yeah, let's go over that.
So we decided we really do want to take time to outline what we believe as ExGarage, as a team, and because we've spent the last couple of years doing a lot of critiques of other world religions, and sometimes it just seemed kind of odd to us that, why don't we put forward what's the basis for us and how we can critique other worldviews. If we don't have a worldview ourselves, and you technically aren't critiquing anything, you're already not even thinking. So you're always starting, in order to get into the critical process, you're already presupposing something. And so we're laying out what it is that we have as a foundation, and not just presupposing because we just take them as just for a bunch of premises for granted and make those our conclusions, but rather that we hold that what is taught in Scripture is plainly revealed insofar as Scripture speaks to creation itself, that is coherent. So it's a coherent body of knowledge, and it's the only coherent body of knowledge. So we have sufficient reasons for what we believe, but ultimately we believe these things because we, as Christians, hold that God reveals Himself to each person's heart specifically, which was the verse you were getting at, where until someone fears the Lord, there's no basis for knowledge to begin. Mm-hmm. No true knowledge. You can have false knowledge. You can have degrees of truth without the right foundation for those truths as an unbeliever, like I exist. Well, you can't genuinely say that you exist for sure unless you believe that God's created you as a creature with a consciousness that has its own being.
Yep. And we can get into those arguments later for why you may not be able to justify that you may or may not be drinking a cup of coffee. Who knows? Maybe the coffee doesn't exist. How would you know?
How do you define coffee?
How do you define coffee? How do you define cupness?
How do you define a definition? If there is no definition to life.
So while we're starting down this road,
so our first topic, So our first topic, we're going to go through a systematic theology essentially.
Yep.
Our first topic is the knowledge of God.
So let's jump into this video and do a little bit of defense, and then we'll go back into talking about the doctrine of the knowledge of God, because this video directly applies.
Hello, this is O. Henry. Join us next week for the next part of this exciting episode.